Hi you guys, George here. I am going to embark on an adventure with an Indian motorcycle project. Specifically a 2003 Indian Chief that was made in Gilroy, California, which would be known as a Power Plus Chief, also because of the gorgeous bottle cap engine that these were made with. So my intention is to take you guys through the entire process of building an Indian Chief, a 2003 Indian Chief motorcycle from the frame up. From the ground up, I'm going to put this together. My intention is to do a YouTube video every now and then and take the YouTube audience through the process of building this Indian Chief together, you and I. Together. I started with the frame. The frame was in perfect condition. However, I said I want to build this from the ground up with either everything new or re-chromed, re-powder coated, refurbished. I want to build the best 03 Power Plus Chief that possibly can be built, that I can do. So I started by having the frame re-powder coated. And as you can see, it is freaking gorgeous. It probably looks better than it did when it came from the factory. Now, I have to tell you a little funny story. This was at the Powder Coaters in East Hampton, Connecticut, and one of his customers, who is a big Harley guy, came in. And this big Harley guy looked at this frame, having no idea what it came from. And his response was, "I didn't know that Hummer made a motorcycle frame." Well, the guy that powder coated it for me thought that was about the best compliment that I could have received. And the truth is, there is no frame on any motorcycle outside of maybe an Indian 4-cylinder, which goes back to the 30s. There's no frame in a modern motorcycle that comes close to this frame. These side gussets are cast steel. They're about a ½ inch thick. Absolutely looks like they're part of a tank from World War II. This gusset here that connects the down tube and the front fork area and the main fork, the main tube area up here, is about 1¾ inches thick. The down tube is 2 inches in diameter. All of the steel that's added is a ½ inch thick. All the forward control mounts are solid pieces of either steel or billet that are about 2¼ thick. The engine mount, again, is cast steel. If we move to the back end of the bike, the area that mounts the front fender and is responsible for the seat area and the saddlebags and passengers, once again, is a ½ inch thick. So, I wanted to show this frame off to you. I'm going to spin it around here real quick. So I have it on a pit bull lift. And when I had them powder coated, I made sure that they taped off the VIN number. And then what I did was I took the tape off, I took some black gloss paint, and I painted it really quickly, wiped it off, let it dry, and then I took some white paint, a cream color white paint, and I rubbed it into the VIN ID number. And as this is actually the box that the new transmission came in. So I'm going to be installing a brand new transmission in this rebuild, if you will, or the build from the frame up. And so we'll talk about, obviously the transmission's not in there. We'll talk about the transmission itself in just a minute. And then this is really, really, really cool. So this is the engine that I had built just for this bike. So this is one of the engines that Joe Malfa, who is, in my opinion, the premier Power Plus engine builder in the country. So here's the engine that Joe did for me. You know, here we're kind of unwrapping it from its cocoon right now. So there's a completely reworked 100 cubic inch Power Plus engine, 2003, made in Gilroy, California, for the vintage motorcycles that I like to work on. This is the heart and soul of this motorcycle that I'm going to be building. And I just, I wanted you to see, they're so beautiful when they're put in. New oil pump, rocker box covers chromed, cam triggers chromed, lower case is a Mansfield case, which Joe takes and paints with an epoxy, a very high temperature epoxy paint. And anyway, they just come out gorgeous, and the performance on these things is absolutely second to none. So let's have a look at this transmission over here. So, I could have used the transmission that was in this bike, but because I was building it from the frame up, I'm having an inclination to put as many new parts on it as I can, especially the important parts like the engine, the transmission, a lot of the standard parts that I can just have either repowder coated like I did to the frame and the swing arm, or have them chromed. I'm doing that, so I'm recycling what I can, but in some other areas I'm actually installing brand new parts. So this was an Indian motorcycle 5-speed RevTech transmission that would have been put in the factory. One of the upgrades I'm going to make to this is a new transmission pulley. So the stock pulley has 32 teeth, and I'm going to step up to a 33 tooth pulley, which what I understand from some other riders of this same machine, that it makes a really big difference in the gear ratio and really improves the rideability of the motorcycle. So we're going to make that improvement. Another improvement I've come up with over the years, and this is actually, we make these and I sell these. If you're interested in one, just let me know. But it's actually a transmission shift arm extension. And what I found was, and you guys who have Gilroy motorcycles will probably recognize that sometimes the transmissions seem to be a little bit stiff or clunky, if you will. And so what I discovered was that if I put the extension on this and it raises it up, and it actually allows the shifter to go downhill a little bit towards the toe shifter, and it actually makes it work smooth as glass. So this little extension is really a very positive thing to do. Quite by accident, I sort of discovered it, designed it. Its main purpose is because I install true dual exhausts on all my Indians, all my Gilroy Indians, because I think they sound fabulous. The ride quality to me is second to none, absolutely second to none. And I know that, different people will debate whether it's a better performance or worse performance. As I'm going to explain in all these videos, giving you my opinion, what appeals to me. You can't beat the looks, you can't beat the sound, and I don't think you can beat the performance. So this extension I designed specifically for a Gilroy Indian to get by the crossover pipe on true dualies. Then I discovered that we also use it on, we've used it on a lot of the Indians we've worked on that don't have true duals, just because it makes the shifting a lot easier. So another trick with these transmissions is, so we'll change out this transmission cover here. We're going to install one of the earlier model ones, which is a fin style transmission cover. Now the reason I'll change that out is probably 10 years ago I was lucky enough to buy the remaining stock of these Legend Live covers from the manufacturer. So the Legend Lives cover, the Indian vanity cover, won't fit this teardrop transmission cover. However, if you're willing to spend $50 and replace this with a fin style, if you're willing to spend $1.50 on a gasket, I still have some of these left. You can turn your transmission into an Indian motorcycle transmission. So that's what I have about the transmission for now. So I'm hoping that a lot of you Indian motorcycle enthusiasts will want to follow just a blue-collar wrencher like myself, who's not a gearhead, but as I said, I have rebuilt, I've rebuilt 7 or 8 of these Power Plus bikes, all with new rebuilt engines by Joe Malfa. So I'm hoping you'll follow me along doing this. I'll try and bring each and every one of you along on the journey with explanations about what I've done and why, explaining about what the manual has you do. I'm going to have a brand new set of sheet metal on this, which for now I'm going to keep a little bit of a surprise what color it's going to be. But it's going to be a kick-ass, drop-dead Indian Chief motorcycle from the 2003 vintage era, 13 years old now, and I think it's going to rival any year Indian on the road anywhere in the globe. And I'm going to put my heart and soul into this and hopefully be a good narrator and try my best to bring you guys along on the journey. So stick with me. I'm thinking it's going to take me a year. It's early May right now. I'm thinking by this time next year we're going to be filming me starting the bike for the first time and maybe going for a ride on a nice warm sunny day. So there you have it. So we'll see you around on YouTube, and be sure to check back for episode 2. Thank you very much.